So I'm sure it's no surprise, but we got our first S650 here. We picked up this 2024 base model. This is a vapor blue car, black onyx interior. The only options on this car are gonna be the active exhaust system and the 10-speed automatic, making this one of the most affordable Mustangs out there. So the question is, why did we start off with a base model? Well, first of all, I've always thought the base is one of the best cars to build. You know, you start with a blank canvas that Ford produces, and you can make it whatever you want. We also want to show what you can do with the least expensive, the most affordable Mustang. Now, I'm not going to say it's cheap or affordable. I mean, sticker on this car with both options was like $45,000, base price being around $41 and change. So this is not a cheap car, but if you're looking for a new V8 Mustang, it's going to be about the most affordable version there is. So what is the base? What separates it from more of the premium models? Well, let's take a look around the car. So we'll give you some close-ups in a minute, but when it comes to base model versus premium, most of the changes are on the interior. Exterior-wise, it's pretty much the same as the premium. We have 18-inch wheels, where your premium's probably gonna have 19s or 20s, but the base model still has Brembo brakes. Again, same setup as the premium one. You can get a standard exhaust or a quad-tip active. Same options are available on the base. Lighting, everything on the base is gonna be pretty much exactly the same. Again, the biggest differences are the interior, so let's show you that first. Like I mentioned, the biggest difference you're gonna find with the base is when you get inside. So the first thing you notice with the base is the cloth seats, but they are new for 2024. I actually find them extremely comfortable. Plus, it's a manual seat, so no power seat. It's gonna save weight, which in a heavy car, I think every pound's gonna matter if you're trying to go fast. But they got rid of like the Mustang wording in the upholstery, which I think looks way better. These seats are much, much cleaner looking. A lot of other stuff is gonna be very familiar. I mean, no lighted door sills, nothing like that. Now the base model, one of the biggest things you're gonna see is obviously the screen. Now if you have a premium, you have one screen that goes all the way over, kind of wraps around. When you're talking about the base model, now you have two screens, but a lot of the information is the same. It's just presented a little bit differently, and we'll show you that in a minute. Now, I'm not gonna lie, having the two does kind of look like a couple iPads on your dash. It really does, but there's a lot of information in the screens. You still have the Fox Body cluster. You still have all the features. You have a lot of the apps, the controls, and all that stuff. We'll show you that in a second, but you have this carbon fiber look trim all over the dash. It ties in with the steering wheel. It's in the doors, it's in the console. It gives it actually a really, really nice look. Steering wheel, from what I can tell, seems to be the exact same as your premium. You still have this thick leather at 10 and 2. You have the cutout, again, the carbon fiber look and the flat bottom. When I drove the RTR, I raved about how cool the steering wheel is, and our base looks exactly the same. I mean, this is a great steering wheel for a factory car. Okay, so far as like I said, it is a 10-speed. This one, because it's not the performance pack, doesn't have the handle, just has an electronic parking brake. But overall, the interior is very comfortable. Everything is easily reachable, and the materials have a nice feel about them. So like I mentioned, the first thing you're gonna notice when you get into a base model is you now have two screens. And I'm not gonna lie, yes, it looks like two basically iPads mounted to your dash. It does. The separation really kind of changes the look, but you get a lot of information from these clusters. And as you can see, we have it on the base mode right now. We have it on the Fox Body cluster, which I don't care what anybody says, it looks cool. It's white during the day, it turns green at night. It brings back all those retro feelings of driving a Fox Body, so it's very cool. So I'm gonna show you both screens. We're gonna start with the middle screen and show you what that does. First of all, you can see at the bottom of the screen, you have all your HVAC controls are on there. You can adjust your temperature, defroster, air conditioning, everything's gonna be on there. Then you've got your driver assistance. That's gonna give you your lane changing, your pre-collision, exit warnings, all the basic stuff that your newer vehicles are going to do. You've got your favorites, your owner's manual. The thing you're gonna use the most though, is gonna be My Mustang. Going in here allows you to basically customize what your car is going to be doing. And again, you can save these modes if you want to. So starting over here, you got your exhaust. You have your quiet mode, your regular exhaust, the sport, and then obviously the one we all love, the track, where the valves are open and it's basically loud all the time. And like previous generations, you have your track apps. You have your line lock, you have acceleration timer, brake performance, lap timer, all that stuff is in even the base model Mustang. Going back here, auxiliary gauges. You can use the center as a gauge pod. You can even add 5 gauges. You can change the look of it. Then you can go in and you can actually switch what you want the different gauges to be. So if you want big oil temperature in the middle, air, fuel, engine, whatever you want, you can set it up. When you hit it, and when the car is running, you have an additional set of gauges right in the middle, which is a pretty cool setup. Go back here. Custom mode, you can set owner profiles, and you can choose what drive mode you want, what steering you want, traction control on off, how you want the exhaust, how you want the gauges. So every time you get in the car and use your profile, it's gonna give you your custom mode. When you go into here, you can see you've got 6 different presets for all those different features. So again, you can have it set up for how you want to drive in the winter or the summer or whatever you personally like, but you have all those presets available to you. And then my color, like you've seen before, there's 2 different prime colors, and you can change the colors for pretty much anything you want. Again, similar to a previous model, but again, it's all right here on the screen. And then cluster theme, which we all love. You know, you have your normal cluster, and it shows you actually there on the big screen in the middle before it changes the actual cluster. So there's your regular cluster, that's what your sport, your track, calm, which is kind of funny, just gives you that right there in the middle. And then of course the one that everybody loves, box body. Now also in theme you have match drive mode. When you click on that, basically whatever mode you set up for, track, sport, whatever, it is going to change the cluster as you go. But if not, like I said, you can pick one and go with it. So if you, like a lot of us, you know, you're retro, you dig that Fox body screen, you can put it in Fox body cluster, and you can go to track mode, sport mode, drag mode, whatever else you want to do, but it's going to keep that Fox cluster in the dash. So again, all kinds of options as far as adjustment and programming. I'm going to show you the HVAC. Not that you need to see that, but it is kind of crazy that it changes the graphic on the screen. Shows you what vents are working at what time. Then you can choose, like, you know, you've got your auto mode, obviously, you have your air conditioning, it's trying to chill us out here. But these are always at the bottom, so you don't need the big screen to see what it's doing. But again, you can choose, you know, obviously temperature, everything else, but it automatically defaults back to the bottom of the screen. So you can still basically make these minor adjustments, turn AC off, whatever, and still have the main screen doing its thing. Now to get to My Mustang, you can go through the dash and change everything that way, or simply hit the Mustang button on the dash and it brings you right to it. Now I show you a little bit of the gauge cluster itself. Now we have the car turned off, but if you've had a 2018 or seen that 401A before, this actually is gonna look pretty familiar to you. Tons of information, your tach, your speedometer, gauges in the middle, all kinds of what the light's doing, temperature, gas, all that kind of fun stuff. Then you go through the mode. So this is a normal mode, and you get the picture of the car in there. We'll switch it to sport. Sport changes the car, changes to a track, gives this really cool infographic. That goes to a completely different looking gauge cluster. All right, then we'll switch to the next mode. Again, you go to track, it brings up the car on a racetrack, and again, it makes changes. It takes off the traction control, gives you a completely different cluster. Again, same idea as the previous generation, just a lot more detail to the screen. And finally, we also have a drag strip mode, which has the car on the drag strip doing a burnout. Again, shuts off all your traction control, gets rid of that, and gives you a very tack-oriented cluster. Then after drag strip, you have a slippery mode, which basically makes the throttle be very, very soft for that kind of weather. But then you have custom. Custom is when I showed you that screen where you have that 6 presets. This is where you're gonna see those. When you go into custom, whatever one you choose, it's gonna make the cluster, traction control, exhaust, any way you wanna set it up. So a couple things on the back of the Mustang. Obviously, very, very sharp edges back here. We talked about the exhaust difference. You know, the active is a quad tip, passive is a single. Unique thing with this car, this is a spoiler delete car. So spoiler delete is a no charge option on the S650, and it comes with this panel here. What's cool about this panel actually separates from the trunk. It comes down to the trunk edge and up to this edge here, and it's bolted on. What that means, aftermarket spoilers, you'll unbolt your delete panel and bolt on the new spoiler. Shouldn't be messing with tape and drilling holes and all that nonsense. Should make upgrading a lot easier. Also, that black panel is gone from the back of the Mustang. In its place is a factory painted panel to match the trunk. The gloss black is available if you like that look. Personally, I think it's just much better. And of course, under the hood, whether you get a base model or premium, engine is the same, the Gen 4 Coyote. 480 horsepower normal. Our case, we have the active exhaust, so it's 487. But the first thing you notice is the huge dual inlet throttle body. You know, dual air cleaners, dual mass air meters, dual throttle body into a massive intake manifold. I also want to mention the engine cover. Thankfully, just push clips, no more bolts to take it off, but carbon fiber look to it. I think it looks way better than the previous generations, but overall, the Gen 4 looks great under the hood. So that's a quick look at our brand new 2024 Vapor Blue Mustang GT Base model. Again, people ask why we got the base model. We wanted to start with the least expensive Mustang, and we're going to show you what you can do with this car. The bonus of it being a base, cloth interior, manual seats, all those options are also going to make it probably the lightest and one of the fastest of the stock Mustang GTs. So again, we have a ton of plans for this car. So if you haven't already, click that subscribe button, click the bell in the corner, and make sure you keep it here for all content for the 2024 Mustang GT.